Okay, it's another lovely day with the Conversations people here in the Conversations room. My name is Elizabeth, and if you watched our program, last week, we did mention that today we'll be continuing with specific areas. And we say something and we do it. So that's what we call walking our talk. So we're about to give you the part two of retirement. Now, we try to also sample certain opinion of people, what they think about retirement. We will be showcasing that as the program goes on. I know that a whole lot of us wrote in questions here. Some made contributions, but we're not able to take all of that. But we promised you that today we'll be first visiting your questions and then carrying it along as we go with the program. Some of us are not here, some are still on the way. It's a very wet day in Abuja, but I know that somebody is sitting right here. Another one is sitting right here, Director.
Yeah, my name is Deva Mom, and I'm happy to be here to continue the conversation from where we left off prior.
I'm going to be asking you something as time goes on.
Ifeanyi Ile is here again, and we hope to take it a notch higher this time.
Okay,
thank you so very much.
Thank you very much. We'll definitely take it a notch higher, but I know that a lot of people wrote it. Let's see what we can take before we hit the streets. This person says, thank you so much for this topic. Please tell FMBN the truth. Let them pay us our deposit for more than 30 years. That's the housing people. You mentioned it last week. How is the case going on?
Oh, it's been a long case, not necessarily with FMBN at this point, but with the PMI, whose name I won't mention, because you don't access. For those who don't know, when you do want to get that loan, that mortgage, you're not going to get it directly from FMBN. You have to pass through what they call a primary mortgage institution, which is a smaller bank that gets the loan and then passes it on to you, the customer. So at the moment, it's me and the small bank, because there was a lot of malfeasance and so on. So that's where it currently is. But I would advise that for those who have conscientiously been remitting to FMBN, by all means, apply for a mortgage. Apply. It's your right. You're entitled to it. Apply. For whatever it's worth, apply.
Okay. Now, if I don't want to apply, perhaps one of those who are lucky enough to have, my parents bequeathing a whole lot of buildings, or perhaps I'm married also, into a very rich place, and I don't have need to build a house. If I am retiring, the money, my contributory money to this, can I access it and still use it?
Yes, definitely. But that's why it's a mortgage, really. While in service, I think it's proper, like she said, you can assess them and then assess a loan facility from them and try and get as much as you can while in service. While you still have the length of time in service, it's good you exploit that time and take a mortgage. It's better for you to do that rather than waiting till the end of your service year to assess whatever you have saved up. You will get it definitely. Immediately you're retired, you get your savings paid to you, but of course it can't be adequate. So that's why we always advise that you assess the mortgage, get a PMI to help you out with it, and then while in service you are able to acquire your own property.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you all in the studio, and I say good morning to you all. The issue of pension is a real problem today. Many of us have done all that is required and been captured, yet 8 years now, no pension, no gratuity. PFA promise that what we have in our RSA, they will start paying pension up. So now, nothing is done. I wish you can tell us your name and your PFA. We're not here to really call out anybody, but if you have issue and you tell us your PFA, I'm sure it will help them to sit up, and get it seriously done. The program you just presented was interesting and indeed educative, but when next you have the program, please endeavor to invite somebody from the local government retiree. You will nearly shed tears. This is really bad. This is really bad. State and local government retirees.
So you see, there's actually not much of an incentive to work in the public service. While you're working, your take home doesn't really take you home. And then when you're done, it's like you're cast to the dogs, despite the fact that there's supposed to be things in place to help you through, at this point, what we would consider a vulnerable point in your life. You are aged now. We no longer have that system where, you know, like the generation of our parents probably felt they could lean on our generation for help. We have realized that it's not possible. It will not be possible for us to lean on our children for that help. And the state, despite putting these things in place, it's almost like it's just a facade. It's like it's for show. It's like it's eye service, because it's not really functioning the way it should. So what's the motivation to give your best if you're working in the public sector?
Okay. For instance, we retired more than 1 year ago. Pension didn't pay us. We are sick. Wow. Nothing to eat. This is sad. We served our nation for 35 years. Please help us out on how to get our money. I bank. My money is with IBTC. You didn't write your name, but at least you mentioned IBTC. I don't know if 1 year, and I don't know. It's crazy.
You know, while we still try to look at while in service, active, you look at like what you said, your take home doesn't necessarily take you home, so you begin to plan early. And apart from planning early, you also look at the fact that beyond acquiring assets, don't forget that the moment you leave service, the salary stops. Whether it takes you home or not, but it stops. So why not try to build a cash flow? You know, try to see how the cash flow will continue so that you don't immediately get broke. Because that's the fear of many. What happens after retirement? There's life after retirement. And that life is supposed to be enjoyed, really. After putting in so much years, you know, your hard work, working in day and night, and then at the end of the day, there's nothing to show for it. But there should be a planning. You know, there should be ahead of time. And yes, you have acquired the house, but the house is not going to give you the cash you need. There's a health challenge sometimes. You need to attend functions, either in your place, your village, or maybe even your church where you worship. There are commitments here and there that still requires you to have the steady flow of income somehow. So before that comes, you should have been able to accumulate some money for yourself, draw up some savings. I know that some people will say, oh, it's a bit difficult while in service. But you see, they have institutions right there in the places where you work, like the cooperative societies, that gives you the opportunity to, you know, save up money while in service, even if you don't access the loans with them. But at the end of your service year, you can access whatever you have saved up, and then begin to use that to either go into a particular trade or whatever you are interested in doing after service. So that will help you maintain a steady cash flow after service.
Okay, you talked about fear, and it quickly called to mind what he is waiting to hand over to us. You're in the street at the moment and speaking to some Nigerians. Let's see what you've been able to get. What are the fears for retirement?
Retirement is another phase in life where some people are seldom prepared for and are often scared of. What scares people about retirement and why? This is what we'll be finding out from some Nigerian civil servants.
Funny enough, nothing scares me about retirement, so the issue of why is not even part of the question.
What scares me about retirement is what the future holds for me after retirement. I'm afraid that after giving so much to the society, and when I am aged, there is no plan for me for retirement. Even the pensions that we expect, we can see our parents and many aged people, the difficulty they go through getting their benefits. So that's really what scares me, as there are no solid retirement plans in our environment. So that is the thing that concerns me most about retirement.
In life, everything that has beginning must have an end. Part of what is expected of one in life is to know that if you have commenced your civil service career, a day shall come in which you are going to end it up. But then, for the fact that your normal services that used to come from the federal government or state government or wherever you may find yourself, hence is going to come up to an end and you are not being prepared, then definitely it will scare you. You have a lot of responsibilities on ground that are waiting for you, and you don't have any source of income that will continue to assist for you to be able to deliver. Definitely you will be scared.
Nothing. Yeah. Anything in life is a planning. The day you are employed, you're supposed to plan for your retirement ahead of time. Because you are going to retire in service when you reach 35 years of employment or 60 years of age. So if you didn't plan well, even if they give you 100 years, you still be uncomfortable.
When you retire and you don't have any other means of getting something to eat after that, that's the fear.
Retirement in the real sense is a good thing. Whenever you work, you need to rest. Retirement has to do with spending your years of service, and at the end of the year of service, though it might not be years according to your years of service, it may be age-wise, but you have to retire. Now, to me, I don't have any threat or fear on retirement.
I was scared when I was to retire. Few months to retire or few years to retire. My fear was when salary stopped, what will I be doing? What will I fall on?
After listening to some civil servants tell us all about their fears of retirement, and some civil servants who actually do not have any fear of retirement, it's back to the studio for more discussion on this topic.
I know that the fear is real, and we just heard from Nigerians, represented by the few people we were able to pick up here in Abuja. The fear is real, and within us here, I know that we have our fears. Let me start with the man. What's your fear of retirement?
Well, I wouldn't call it fear, really, because the moment that fear sets in, that's the beginning of the whole challenge. Rather,
Okay,
I would just say, I would say it would be a challenge.
Retirement.
Yes, the challenge would be maybe lack of plan. I'll begin to be afraid that I didn't put in enough for my retirement.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I'll begin to get apprehensive. Like, oh, what next? Like you heard someone who said, the moment the salary stops, But then again, there should be this perception about this salary thing. Because to me, salary, it's not something that you should just, it's a fund, it's a kind of, I like to call it maybe seed money. You plan with it, because what can the salary really do for you, no matter how much you earn?
Oh.
So if you don't begin to plan with what you're earning now, is it when you retire? Don't forget, you're going to be earning 1/3 of what you were earning while in service at retirement. So think about it. You're earning 150 while in service, and then when you are retired, you start earning like 50,000. So what will 50,000 do that 150 could not do for you while in service? So these are the things you begin to look at. So you begin to apportion certain things to, and don't forget, civil servants are most times carried away. They look at this time, there's enough time, I still have 20 more years. And you begin to use money on things that are not necessary, things that are not important. Sometimes you buy things that you don't really need, So when you begin to do all of this, when you retire, there will be difficulties, really.
True.
So for me, I just think you start early, start planning, start seeing what you can do with what you're earning. Either you're saving from it, or you're doing some other things that can yield money for you while in service. Well, for civil servants, farming, really. So these are just the things. So when you don't plan, when you don't know the stages for you in service, it becomes difficult. So for me, it will just be an apprehension for the lack of plan. Oh, I didn't plan enough. So I'm headed somewhere that I don't know what it holds for me. So it's really not fear for me.
If I'm going to take you up on this because I'm going to be put on your matter because I want to ensure that you do that planning.
Yeah.
So that at the end of the day, you and I would have planned well,
Yes.
and when we retire, we're not going to be sad or anything apprehensive.
Sure.
But let's see if Devon has fears.
Again, just like I don't like that word, fear. But it is true that there are potential challenges that you will face when that steady income is not there anymore. I'm glad that I retired much younger and went into a completely different sector, which is the non-governmental sector. It helped me to, develop a new set of skills, new experiences, new knowledge. So now I'm able to earn money providing consultancy services, which is always very good. I've been a trainer. I worked as a trainer for quite a while, but I'm also now a certified trainer. So I'm also looking at how I can convert all this wealth of knowledge I have into something that I impart into others and help them to also grow. So these are ways that I will be earning money, which I started working on long before, the retirement age of 60. I'm nowhere near 60 yet. But the good thing is I had the, the foresight to think ahead and start planning in that direction. But one thing I will say is it is important for us to learn, let's imbibe the culture of buying stocks and shares, especially in viable firms. It can be dicey, but this is something that really paid off for me. Purely by chance, I stumbled into buying stocks and shares when I was in my 20s. And the very first car I bought, I was like, I'm broke, let me, these things, back then, it was purely speculative. I have these small shares. I put everything together, sold them, and I picked my car. And then a few months later, the market crashed in Nigeria. That was many years back. The market crashed and took some people almost died because they're putting so much. But the good thing is, I think the market has stabilized. Yes. I think whatever it was that caused that crash has been taken care of. Like right now, for instance, there's a bank that's currently selling some shares. I'm not going to sit here and advertise for them. They've never done anything for me. Yeah. So, but I would consider looking into that, even if it's just 50,000 naira worth, 100,000 naira worth. Buy, keep it somewhere, forget about it. Every now and then,
enjoying the dividend.
Every now and then, breweries, banks, this one, that one, just buy 20,000, 5,000, just buy small, just keep. They come in very handy. You keep getting dividends. They give you payouts every now and then anytime you feel like you need bulk money to maybe invest in something, you can sell the whole thing off, take the money and put into something else. As that is yielding, you take from there and put, and then again, you don't have to buy only Nigerian stock. Nowadays, we live in a global village. You can buy stock in economies that are far more advanced and far more stable than ours. So that is something that could really keep you going in your old age. I know my dad used to do that. He had those, and it was from there that he kept himself sustained and even helped us after retirement. And I would also say that for those parents who were lucky enough to start having kids young, I would advise young people whose parents are still working. If God has helped you, and has, blessed your hustle, maybe you finish school, you're working at the moment, help your parents to have something that they can fall back on when they retire. Because when you marry, it's going to be very difficult to take from there and look after your aged parents. Even when you want to, you will want to and you will not be able to. So we're not saying that young people should not look after their aged parents. We're saying that we know it's going to be much more difficult for you when you have your own family, you have your wife, you have your kids. You cannot marry and have kids, then abandon your wife and say you are looking after your aged parents. So the best time to do it is when you have not married.
What you're telling me just brought to mind what we discussed a bit last week about having our children as retirement package, or plan, and I said, I remember we agreed that
Yes.
it was actually a wrong thing to do for now, because children these days don't really care about the parents. In
It's
fact,
not-
children
no, I
nowadays,
don't-
not that they don't care, but they feel it's not really their place
No,
to
no,
really do
no,
that.
no. I'm sorry, I want to disagree with that. I don't think it's that they feel it's not their place. It's just that life is getting harder and harder and harder.
Life has always been hard.
Our cultural
It's
values,
it's just a mindset.
our
Life has
cultural
always been
values
hard.
have changed to the point where we are imbibing a lot of Western values. So the way my generation would be worried about the generation prior, this current generation is not, but I don't want to express it as they feel it's not their concern. That I don't agree that that is the case. I don't
Well,
agree.
it's you against I, because I have tried to actually look at a lot of young people today, and I find out that most of them don't really think the way we took responsibility to, towards our parents was quite different. I recall then when my mom was alive, every Tuesday I would give her pepper soup, chicken pepper soup, fish pepper soup with the cornstarch. And if I delayed by 1 hour or two to bring it, that woman will call me and scold me like it's her right. She didn't initiate it, I did. So at a point when I moved away from where she was, I had to contract somebody to ensure that's a culture continued every Tuesday. I don't see a lot of young people today wanting to be able to carry. They say, some people will even tell you, I was minding my business somewhere, you said I should come to you. I blessed you and made you a mother. Why are you giving me stress?
I'll still say this. Whatever we are seeing in our youth today, we are responsible. We are responsible for how our young people have turned out. The blame is squarely on us. Most of us felt our parents were so wicked, they were so hard, they were so this, that, and the other. So we decided to wrap our children in cotton wool. We allow them get away with everything. Then when they are adults, we somehow expect them to become saints. It doesn't happen that way.
True.
There is a way you raise your child. I'm not saying that you should be hard on your children. You treat them kindly, but you also treat them in a way that they know that respect should be mutual. Nowadays, you see small children expecting adults to respect them when they actually are not bringing anything to the table. And if you investigate that culture a little bit, you will see where the parents played a role in that child having that mentality status. So if you have a child today that is an adult and is earning, and you are in a state of lack, and that child is not looking over their shoulder to say, oh, let me send Baba 5,000 or 10,000. They have, but they are not doing it because they feel it is not their place. It is because at some point you give them the impression that they are always to be looked after by you and they owe you nothing.
Okay.
At some point, you created that culture.
Yes, I totally agree with you, because I'm one of those that believe that once your child starts earning and is living with you, and of course children should live with their parents until they get married. That's my thoughts. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do or wrong thing to do. But then if you're living with me and you start earning money, you should start picking a bill, no matter how small. If it's electricity bill, water bill, whatever it is, a child must learn to pick a bill. That way when you get married, whether you're a man or a woman, you're not scared of bills. You're already
Exactly,
used to it.
it helps.
Because
Anyway. Even if your parents are so wealthy and such, if you form the culture of doing these things, or your parents make you understand that we expect this from you, by the time you get married or you have your own space, you're already used to doing these things, and you don't feel affronted. How can my husband tell me that I should buy pepper? Or why is my wife not submitting her salary to me? You understand?
It's true.
But then again, if I will need to add a voice to what you're saying, don't forget that the dynamics for raising children has all changed completely. The age in which we live in, things are running so fast, and children will always listen to the voice of your action rather than your spoken words. Each time, back then they will tell you things and then it's okay. But these days, the children want to see, what are my parents doing? What are they up to? If they don't see that you take all responsibilities at home, when time comes for them to take care of you, you might not just even see them there.
Even if
So-
they don't
It
see
still
you,
comes back to
Yes,
the same.
that's it. So
if they don't see you travel home,
yes,
go to see your parents.
Yes.
You buy something like when my mother-in-law was actually alive, I will make sure that my children have small money
Yes.
from their pocket money. I say, give it to your granny. She may not need it,
Yes.
but she's going to appreciate that her grandchildren gave her this money.
True.
So they learned early to give. It's important.
Yes.
Give not because the person doesn't have, because you care. Kevin, you sneaked in here. I saw you. I saw you. Were you scared of your retirement? I know you're retired somehow.
Yeah, I've been retired for since 2007, so that's
So
a very long time now.
what was the fear for you, and has the fear evaporated? Fear of
Well,
retirement?
with what I know now, I shouldn't have retired when I did, but it was based on emotions that resulted to that retirement. But looking back, I do not have any regret because it has actually paved, so many roads for me and given me the lessons. They say there's this adage that says experience is the best teacher. For me, it's not the best teacher. Experience is the most expensive,
Teacher.
hard
True.
teacher you can actually learn.
Yeah.
Being informed and making that informed decision is the best way. So experiential relationships will help. So retirement, listening to all of Devon, we're just so happy with all our contribution. Children are like sponges. Okay, they do what they see, not what you say. And so if we don't build the culture early enough to let them understand how to come back, to give back with our actions up to our parents, they won't do different things. And don't forget what those of us who are Christians will call generational, things, spiritual things. They are not generational things. They are DNA encodings. Your actions are oftentimes passed down to your children, and they play it out once the enabling environment is given. So you see those actions taking place. How best was your relationship with your own parents? Be rest assured it will be amplified with you and your children. That's simple. It's not spiritual, it's not anything, it's just what it is. How are you preparing towards the raining days? I mean, it's been raining now for some time. As I was coming here, my trunk cover just pulled out. And luckily for me, no car was behind me. So that was like the saving grace. It would have been another expenditure. So I started thinking, did I check before driving out of the home? I didn't check. So if I prepare ahead of time, I can avoid certain things. So the same thing goes with retirement. And so when I came out, before then I'd had some stocks. She said something, it crashed, and it looked like don't go near that area. But if we think of diversification in terms of investment, we'll go a long way. I find out that money market funds is one area one can actually put money in. And the way to do the magic, because there's a compounding interest that comes with it, the way to do the magic is that at every point in time you have any amount of money, you throw into that money market fund. So if you start with 1,000 naira, every other day you can put 100 naira. And by the end of the quarter, your interest compounds itself. Not
When you
in
say
the,
money market fund, what does that mean?
it's simply a mutual fund, of investment, where you give your money to people who want to use the money to do other business and give you some little interest.
It's not the same thing as a susu or something.
No, it's not the same thing as this.
Okay.
These are registered companies who have actually been established for many years doing this money market. For some of the banks do now, which is also another way of diversifying your funds. We can also look at real estate. There are some companies that gives you opportunity to buy into land banking, which means you have 100,000 you can give to them and wait until there's a returns, and they give you a little of that 100,000 returns,
Oh, wow.
and you can actually do that. There are companies who are doing that. We can prepare way ahead of time. 2 days ago, I just invested
So
my
those
okra.
companies, like people are listening to us, those
Yeah.
companies, if somebody asks, can I get back to you? And
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
In some of the way. 2 days ago, I just invested my okra and my F4 leaves, which is spinach, right?
I think it's a foreigner. You were trying to call a foreigner.
I don't know Yoruba, so I just invested. So if I hadn't planted, I needed okra. I want to eat okra, even raw, but I still had to plant ahead of time. So 2 days ago, I just got them. Less than 3 weeks, 4 weeks now plus, and I just started investing them. So it's the preparation ahead of time that brings about the pleasure. Without preparation, there's pain that comes with it. So we need to understand that principle. So my retirement for many years now, it's been beautiful. I think there's also afforded me the opportunity to get to meet people like you, because if I was still working, I wouldn't be here.
That's a nice one. I have my fear of retirement, and it's basically, what a lot of us fear for old age. It's not perhaps attached to, money, because somehow money does not control me, so to speak. I work for it and then I control it. But I know that when you retire, one of the things that come with it is, aging.
And loneliness.
I'm not scared of loneliness because I'm never really lonely.
Okay.
I know how to, have a million people in my head,
Okay.
and I'm alone in the room, and I don't get to feel it. Even for 1 year,
Oh.
I don't feel lonely. I don't have time for that. Anyway, it's the fear of being ill, and I know that that comes with a lot of care, a lot of expenditure, and for someone like me, I don't like to be seen as being weak. So I know that in times like that, you're literally weak,
There's absolutely nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Nature calls and you just
and
submit.
the older you are, the more, predisposed you are to that. So, but then talking about what I've been able to do to, make sure that I abate that when time comes, I do a lot of reading. What am I supposed to do right now? A lot of exercises, starting from when you're even in your teens, will help to get your bone density higher when you're older. A lot of meals for different age categories. I actually try to go a whole lot into studying my blood type and the meals associated with my blood type to ensure that I get stronger, and then detox a whole lot. Not food detox alone. I detox my mind because I know your spirit, your mind being, is what actually makes us, sick even before we get sick. So I try not to let negative things stay around my head, so it doesn't play out and make me. Even when I'm ill, I always believe I can, So that way, I keep being propelled to get up and keep going. So it's not very easy to move around that environment, but I tell myself, if you learn to do that now, you'll be able to overcome tomorrow. There is always a time when there may not be people around you. So I learned to navigate alone. I learned to take care of myself by myself. In case that moment comes. As you age, you get fragile. Balance becomes an issue. So I do a lot of balance exercise to ensure that I don't get to trip in the bathroom because I went to bath. I have my balance. I do a lot of nerve exercises, all those sciatic nerves, so that to ensure that I stay strong even when I'm older. And I repeatedly have seen it written by people and expressed by people that you don't start doing that when you're old. You actually start even before you get married, because it builds, as a woman, it builds your body, your hip bones for pregnancy and delivery. And then after that, for when you get into your menopause, the estrogens are no longer coming as they should. If you're used to doing those things, it actually builds you to overcome problems of menopause.
If I may come in here, in agreement with what you've said, I would say that I think we can agree for the most part that ordinarily in our culture, men tend to drink more heavily than women do. Even if women drink, they might not drink as much as men do. Men will drink. Now, you're setting yourself up for the possibility of your kidneys backing up.
True.
Your liver, giving out, because those are the organs that process alcohol the most. And if you are a woman and you drink, I came across a study that showed that alcohol takes a far worse toll on a woman's body than it does on a man. A woman can take a fraction of the alcohol a man is taking, and it will do way more damage to her body than what the quantity, which is above hers, that the man took. That said, because men are more likely to drink heavily, especially in social settings, maybe to drown out their problems, to socialize, and so on and so forth, you are setting yourself up for an old age where you will probably be bedridden. and you will now make yourself a burden to your children and your wife, who, except there's a huge age gap, is probably also struggling with her own health issues at that point because she's not as young as she should be. For many couples, the age gap is usually about 10 years, not much more than that. Sometimes, especially now that things are kind of changing, sometimes the woman is even older than the person she's married to. So that, and then polygamy is no longer there, where you have a range of wives. Therefore, the younger wife can step up and do this, that, and the other. So if you're able to take care of your health now, be you male or female, if there are certain things you can desist from doing, if you already picked up a very bad drinking culture over time, there's no harm done. You gradually begin to cut it down, because as you age, you don't need that kind of alcohol in your system, and you're setting yourself up for failure. Now, to make matters worse, everything is so much more expensive, including healthcare.
True.
So, if you can keep yourself out of hospital, you are saving yourself money. Then even where you have the resources, even where you have the money to pay the bills and all of that, do you have the right support system around you? Your children are grown, they're married off, your wife is not that young. Do you really want to be that person who, there are certain things that you can avoid. If you're healthy, that's already good money saved up.
True.
Because old age will come with health complications anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So the ones that you can avoid, start now. If you're this kind of person who brags about your capacity to drink 10 bottles at a sitting, you're not smart, you're not intelligent. What does that mean? What are you trying to prove?
Some will say all die and I die.
Huh?
Some will say all die and I die.
No,
right?
but some die bad past some other die, because if you die slowly, it's a much more torturous experience for you and your loved ones. So let's have mercy on ourselves and our loved ones.
I'm not disputing what you're saying.
Yeah.
People don't actually care when it comes to health and life. You know, we live in a very religiously infused society where we tend to attribute almost everything of our irresponsibility to that being or those beings somewhere, either the good being or the bad being, and we say, oh, Satan, I cause them all, thank God, and all of those things, right? This is my 23 years teetotaling from alcohol. I stopped drinking alcohol like 23 years ago, 2001. I got to that point.
Cute. Were you sick? Did you stop?
No.
Okay.
It was that point of realization that this is not healthy.
Okay.
I had to look at family background. I look at myself. Where am I going with this? How far with all of this whole thing? What is a pleasure? What is a health benefit? And to what extent will I go before I damage those things inside of me that are responsible to keep me functioning? And so I got to that conclusion that this has to stop, right? So smoking, alcohol, drinking, and you call it other vices, are things that we truly do not have the right information in getting involved in. Peer pressure, one, comes into play. Two, we want to show that we have actually attained a certain age or some kind of class. We get into those kind of drinking. And so we get ourselves overly abused of those things. Now, moderation is a key factor in everything we do. Even if you want to live a very healthy lifestyle, you have to be moderate about it, or else you lose it completely.
True.
There's a limit of exercise you can do before you tear your tendons, and there's a way you keep yourself not doing anything at all, and you get into trouble. So healthy lifestyle living is key in terms of value, but we cannot rule out one factor, which is the fact that we are co-independent beings. And so I looked at the wolf clan. In the wolf clan, the wolf is only one animal that lives a very distinct and decent lifestyle, but we don't actually recognize it. The wolf clans, parents are taken care of at old age. By natural default, the young wolves goes hunting for the old ones. And when they are moving in the exodus, you see how they place them. The stronger ones in front, the older ones behind. They don't put the older ones in front. Okay, you're older than you go to the front. No. So if we go study the wolf clan, there's a whole lot humans can learn.
I don't know how you're going to make me understand that wolf is a very good person.
No, it's not. I'm just telling the culture of the wolves that the humans.
Animal.
Yeah,
So when you say person, people might get confused.
So the wolf clan, which is the animal, this is so. And we're talking about retirement and how to prepare for this retirement. When we use our fears to live in our current reality, we will miss out from the enjoyment of the moment that we have. That becomes apprehensive living. You know, you said something, you don't want to show weakness and all of those things. That's part of the reason why a lot of people have been isolated and some of them die lonely because they created this impression that I have the capacity to do this, I don't need anybody. So even kids saw them so strong and believe that mommy can do this, daddy can do this thing. Even when they need the help, people around us say that they need help. They think they've been abandoned. But those kids never really abandoned these parents. It was because the parents created that impression.
That's part of where I was going
You
to.
know?
When you create the impression of invincibility,
You make it difficult for people to
you are
those who are
this is you.
supposed to.
You are the big Hulk. You know?
You
When children are very small, that's okay. But as they get
they-
older,
let them
it's
see your
important for them to
vulnerability.
see your vulnerabilities, to know you're a human being who has challenges, who has fears, who has worries, who has
Who can also
anxieties.
cry.
It's okay
Yeah, who can also
for your
cry.
kids to know so that they can empathize. And it's also important, the way you treat your kids also matter. Are you that parent who every time your child goes wrong, you hit the roof, you use the most cruel words and actions known to man to quash that child because you need to?
They will run away when they get old.
There is a very thin line between establishing authority and just being straight out wicked. And the average Nigerian thinks that wickedness
It's part of authority.
is part of being authoritative. It is not. That is just wickedness for the sake of being wicked.
There's
Maybe
a
it gives
big
you
line
some
between
pleasure.
wickedness and authority.
And wickedness does not help you to put a sense of discipline in your kids. You don't have to be wicked, you don't have to be harsh, but you do have to be able to establish boundaries. You need to be able to teach your children sense without being cold or harsh or wicked or cruel. How can your child, maybe because your child failed one exam or has one carryover, then you say you're not paying school fees a year?
Or you say
That child will pay you back someday if that child has that kind of mentality.
Definitely.
All right,
So-
let's pay visit to our audience. This first person says, Ikiobu Agena. Please, can you have me connected with Kevin Fineface for a later discussion? Is he on pension? I don't know.
I think
Good
about the
morning.
money
While we
market
provide
thing,
financial
he said.
services, so they are free to contact me. So
Okay.
we'll make
Good
money. At least
morning.
we'll have a
Thanks
chat
for
and
you will
contact
talk to
there
a person later. I am Amwo Iji, a retired person after 35 years after serving the military. This is 3 years now, and my mortgage fund is still hanging. What is the problem? You want to talk about it? What could be the possibility?
You know, the last time we spoke about this, I said sometimes people don't care about their details, either their pension details or their savings details with NHF. You find out that throughout their stay while in service, they never bother to update their passbooks. There are passbooks that are kept for you, okay, and is held, for you until you are ready to retire. Now, once those passbooks are not updated, what do you have? You just have an empty account. So, from time to time, you go ensure that your passbooks are updated.
Okay.
And then you have the right details in place. The moment you have that, immediately you leave service, those things are seamless. Except otherwise, there are administrative issues that will hold on to you not being paid.
Some bad balance.
Yes, well,
The
maybe.
passbook
Okay,
they
so-
should be within your office environment.
Yes, it should be within
I know
your office
ours in
environment.
NTA is,
Yes, it
okay.
should be within your office environment. So ensure you have a passbook that is updated. Not just the passbook being there, but is it updated? And then from time to time, visit the
If
the
I'm in
mortgage
NTA,
institution.
which office do I go to check it?
And they have the properties
Okay.
office.
So I should
So-
go and check. How regularly
Yes.
should I check? Every year or every month?
You could do that monthly.
Okay.
To ensure that what you have on your pay records, your pay slips, tally with what is being updated. Don't wait till the end. Don't wait till the end of service to start running helter-skelter. Oh, this figure that's supposed to be here is not here. You should be armed with what you have saved up while in service. It's important. So that at any point in time, like you have a case with the PMIs and all that, because you came in ready with them, you have documentations to show that truly you applied for these things and up till now you have not been given the money.
Oh no, I was given the money.
Okay.
I did buy the property.
Yes.
But then there was a lot of malfeasance.
Okay.
You know, they did a lot of unethical things.
Yes.
And that's why we're now in court.
Okay. So, but that's because you had a healthy record.
Yes.
Yeah. If you didn't, how would you even assess that money in the first place? So, while in service, you must be concerned. You must be, concerned about what's going on with your savings. What is your passbook updated? Like I said, do you even have a passbook in the first place? So these things are important.
So if you're working and you're 1 year, 2 years into your job and you don't know about your passbook, you don't even know where to go and look at it or update it, then you're in trouble. You better sit up and get to find out.
And if I might quickly come in.
Okay.
Everything we're saying now is in the public sector and probably the organized private sector. You see all these small firms that, hire people, many of them will not even give them an employment letter. Wow. So that's a conversation for another day. We have this radio guy who talks so much about human rights. I'll not go and call his name. But what happens to the staff in that place beggars belief. And it's not just there. I have had my kids, when they were looking for work, one worked in 3 places that never gave her an employment letter.
It's common. It's
and
common
didn't even pay.
It's very common.
And she'd show up and work for 2-3 months. And I'd be like, no, come home. It's not that bad. If you're going to this place and you're working and they're not paying you, just stay at home and look for another job. This is not it.
I think we should also begin to call some of these organizations out. That just get people within the environment, use them under the guise of contract staffing, verbal communication, no letter written, no contributory pension being paid, from their salary. They just give them every month. Just give them some money. We need to begin to call out those organizations.
Some don't even give.
I mean, they give them like transport, like it's a transport thing. Maybe this week, I don't have time, but they give them some money, right, for it. We need to begin to call out those organizations. If you're an established organization that's by law, it's indicative that you're supposed to be paying contributory pension, then it means that you must do the needful. They get away with a lot of this thing because, one, coppers are out there to help with filling in a gap for the period that they need. Then 2, they also have other people who are desperate. 3, they have the people who genuinely need to want to work, but they don't want to employ them. Because some persons are making so much money from the fact that they don't have the actual employment, why they give out this little money under the guise of miscellaneous expenses, and they make a kilo of it. So we need to call out those organizations. I'm available to take on this advocacy. If you give me the name of those places, I will call them out. Once we have the right fact, we'll put it out there in the public so that things can change. A lot of people today don't even know where they stand after working for 10 years for an organization. Under the guys are waiting for permanent letter. By the time some of them even get a letter of employment, you'll be shocked. They don't even get the energy to work again too. They don't even give them the place in terms of their grade level because they've been working for 10 years without being recognized, and they don't even recognize them as anything else. So we need to call them out, to ensure that people don't get to continue with this thing. For the pension and the mortgage thing, recently I wanted to go to a Federal Mortgage Bank because I used to contribute towards it. Now, by civil service rule, you have your housing thing also, you contribute towards it, but we don't even know that we can access it. We don't even know that you have up to 15 million naira waiting for you, depending on your age, to access 5 to 15 million naira, depending on your age, to access that amount of money.
To 50 million.
Yeah, now it's increased to 50 million now. So we have that funds waiting as a civil servant. Even as some organized private sector, you can actually access if you're contributing towards your federal housing scheme. If you're contributing, but people don't get to know. Even your pension, it says something you're constantly updating. Some of the pension offices, they have their online, site you can go access to know. I think we need to continue to educate people to understand. You don't wait until you're 35 and you're looking for a way to go and queue up to want to get your pension.
Exactly.
You have to constantly find ways. Once you're 45, you can begin to access part of your contributory pension. You don't need to wait until you're 50. You can go find a way to see, let me test it and see if this is available. That's what I did.
True.
Once I became 45, I went to assess it. I want to test it, if this model of economy is available. And when I saw it, I said, this is beautiful. Then it can be implemented in other areas. So the what they call it, small and medium enterprises, we can introduce contributed pension. Those people who just employ and pay 25,000 naira, 35,000 naira, 40,000 naira, they can introduce it in such a way that people don't get to wait until they're older to start looking for help. And that will help society in general.
All right, thank you.
But don't forget then again that the contributory scheme, pension scheme, applies to both public and private.
Yes, everybody.
So that can be...
It's just like the health insurance.
Yes.
Somebody says, I retired 7 years ago from Kaduna State and I have over 4.3 million in premium pension. They haven't paid me a dime because the state government released the funds and my business have died because of lack of funds. Daniel from Kaduna. I don't know. Premium pension, they're calling it out now. Do something about it. All right, just before we go, I would like to find out from Ifeanyi, what are the possible things, a pensioner can get involved in? Quite briefly, you take that. And then when can we start them? What kind of businesses to keep money rolling in?
Like one of them he mentioned, the money market is a place that you can also invest funds. There are shares, like she talked about the shares. There are penny stock you can pick up. Invest in shares, and then long-term, short-term investments. You have to start while you're in system, not when you have retired. A pensioner that never planned from when he was in service has little or nothing to do at retirement. So he just go there and be at the mercy of people, looking for handouts, feeding from hand to mouth and all of that. So you have to plan, create multiple streams of income. It will help, not just one source. Salary is, like I said, is seed money. Really, it's just what you need. Leaning on it is like leaning on a dry stick. It can just break anytime. And so, to allay all of those fear, you just have to find a way to create multiple streams of income, and do what you enjoy doing, and then see what you can do with what you're earning. Save up some, invest some, and then begin to get interest here and there, and you're good to go at old age.
I hear some people tell me when I retire, I'm going into farm work. And I keep wondering, how does that work? Because I know that farm work is a lot of energy.
Well, they don't know. Sometimes they don't know. There's something I used to tell people whenever I have the opportunity to speak to those who are working, who are about to retire, who have 3, 4, 5 years to retire, which is that your office will always give you opportunity to build up your capacity. That's why you have human development capacity. So whichever department you work in, there are certain skills that you can gain over time. Yes. You can go dust up your paper and improve yourself in those areas and offer those services as you're going to retire.
Exactly.
But one mistake that I see in civil service is that a lot of civil servants who go for trainings don't be part of the trainees. They just go there for the purpose of getting the ESTA codes, if it's abroad, or the BTAs.
Sightseeing.
Just sightseeing, they come back. Because I've actually taken people abroad from the civil service for training, and it was shocking. 90% of those who travel with us for the training just went on shopping spree. They never sat in the class to learn. And it's saddening. But this was an opportunity for them to actually be empowered and using those tools that were given to them to feed themselves. I am where I am today because of part of that. Exposing myself to trainees when other people are running away from it. Because sometimes civil service, when training comes, look like punishment. Because maybe you are supposed to be one juicy posting and they ask you to go for training. You're like, why? Others are going for the opportunity. But for me, once there's opportunity for training, I want to expose myself to it because it's a tool you never can buy by yourself if you leave service. So the government offers opportunity to get qualitative and quantitative training. Utilize it. Build up your PowerPoint and start selling the same thing. We don't know that what you learned in school can actually feed you. My Bible says your mouth, the words of your mouth will feed your stomach.
All right, so our time is almost up. Just before Devon gives a final thought, this person says, listening to this topic today has enlightened me to plan for my tomorrow. Devon, Mom, I love your skin color. Black is indeed beautiful.
Thank you. I'm glad I never bleached. There was a time when it was in vogue. Somehow I resisted the temptation.
Okay. So. And another person says, well, he didn't tell us anything. He said Okafor from Lagos. And whatever that is, maybe you get to write us again. My passbook was given to, with the amount stated on it. The account wasn't empty, as you have said. Okay. All right. I don't know. It's not explanatory again. A lot of people write, please, can you be more specific in when you're writing? Good morning, everyone in the studio. Please, we are dying and suffering from insecurity bandits. Okay, we're not discussing insecurity today. When we have to do that, we'll let you know. But for now, our time is up. And I don't know if you still have time to say one or two things, just briefly.
I'll just say goodbye and keep planning ahead.
All right, so, and that's it. Goodbye, keep planning ahead. And whatever you do, I always believe that investing in human being is the best thing that happened to you. And when I say human being, I didn't say your children. Because I know that a lot of us have children, we groom them, they go out there. And then we live within an environment where we have visitors, strangers, but you can convert to your family members if you're nice to them. Those people become your investments for tomorrow. Be nice to people you meet because there's nothing as good as human investment. See you next week.